Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Amy Esther here, and today I'm sharing with you the answers to all the questions you guys asked me about labor, delivery, postpartum, and then there's a few about pregnancy as well. So I've got lots of questions to answer for you today. If you've been here before, you know I have several chronic illnesses, including POTS, Tachycardia syndrome, SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. I have IBS, leaky gut syndrome. I have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, Hashimoto's disease, endometriosis, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I get chronic migraines. I got all the things going on, and I was pregnant and I went through pregnancy, labor, delivery, and now in the postpartum period, currently 4 weeks postpartum as I'm filming this video. And I wanted to share with you the answers to the questions that you guys have, that a lot of you are just nervous to go through the process of pregnancy and labor, delivery, all of the things that come with pregnancy. When you have several chronic illnesses or even one chronic illness, it can be scary. So I wanted to answer all your questions today. This is like the first video I've done sitting down in a while, and I feel like I'm just like out of my game. Now you guys have seen some, but that's because I made a bunch of videos before I had my baby, just in case I didn't have the energy or time or motivation to get videos done for you. I made some that I could post just in case I wasn't able to get my camera out with my newborn baby. And I have to say, it has been tough. I've just really been living in the moment, and so it's harder for me to get my camera out this time. So I haven't really done sit down videos a lot since I had my baby. So for me, it feels like it's been a while, but anyway, we are here and hopefully I remember what I'm doing. So let's answer all your questions here. So first question is tips for preparing for pregnancy with Hashimoto's disease, fibromyalgia, and POTS. So I got questions about all of those three, mainly people just nervous about how to prepare for pregnancy with those conditions. So let's start with Hashimoto's disease. So if you have Hashimoto's disease, I would suggest making sure you're talking to whatever doctor is helping you manage your Hashimoto's disease, whether it's an internist, endocrinologist, or whoever it is that's helping you manage Hashimoto's. Make sure you're talking to them and you tell them, hey, I want to get pregnant. Can you help me know what the process is? Should I be upping my medication? Should I let you know as soon as I get pregnant? Is there anything specific I should be doing? Because they know your body better than I do. They know what you need better than I do, because I don't know everyone's Hashimoto's disease, everyone's chronic illnesses are, even though we have the same conditions, your body may react differently to different things. For example, my body does not react well to medications. If there's a side effect, I get it, and it's never been worth it to me. I think there are very, very few medications that I've taken that didn't give me severe side effects. And so I'm personally one who doesn't like to take medications unless absolutely necessary. And so I avoided them at all costs. So what I did is I was on the autoimmune protocol diet, the AIP paleo diet, when I got pregnant. And honestly, I think that's what helped me get pregnant and stay pregnant, because I've had several miscarriages as well. And my doctor recommended I stay on that diet for the first trimester of pregnancy. So I stayed on it for the first 12 weeks. And then after that, if you guys have been here, you know I did not stay on it after that. I get very nauseous. I have a really hard time with aversions. And honestly, most of my pregnancy, I just kind of have to eat whatever I can get down. So I stayed on that diet the first couple months. And it was really, really hard, because those first couple months, oh, you're so nauseous and miserable. And the things on my diet were grossing me out, but I just had to eat them anyway. But after that, I did go off the diet, but I think that helped me get and stay pregnant. And I got my thyroid levels checked multiple times during the pregnancy just to make sure they were still doing good. And for me, I think pregnancy, once I at least get past that first trimester, my Hashimoto's disease seems to kind of go in remission, because I didn't have any issues with it. And so I don't know, that was my experience, but I would definitely recommend making sure you talk to your doctor if you want to get on the AIP paleo diet. If you can, it really helped me. That was the best I ever felt in my entire life when I was on that diet. So I'm nursing right now, and once I'm done nursing, I plan to get back on that diet, at least for a short amount of time, to make sure my health is in a good place. So that's my recommendations for you guys with Hashimoto's. Fibromyalgia, I would say also just talk to your doctor that is helping you control it. For me, it kind of just exaggerated some of my symptoms. And so You might be a little more fatigued than most people. You might be in a little bit more pain than most people. I have a video all about fibromyalgia and pregnancy, so I will link that down below because that will give you more information, but everyone's different, but for me, it just kind of exaggerated my symptoms. So there's nothing really to prepare for, except just know that you might be pretty sick during your pregnancy. And then POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, preparing for pregnancy with that, I would say make sure you are treating it naturally. And there's so many natural things you can do for POTS. Now, you may be on medications. If those work for you, then great. I'm so happy for you. Again, medications don't work for me. Well, they would work, but then I'd get side effects that were not ideal, and it was better for me to just do things naturally. I just feel so much better when I treat my conditions naturally, especially POTS. POTS, I think, again, do what's best for you. I'm not saying you have to get off your medications if you like them and they work for you, but for me, I think there's so many natural things for POTS that you can do. I have a whole video, I will link it down below, about natural treatments for POTS. And I did those things while I was pregnant, before I was pregnant. The one thing that I really struggled with when I was pregnant was exercise, because I had pretty bad anemia when I was pregnant. And so I had no energy at all. So I took salt pills, I wore my compression socks, I did kind of all the things that I teach in that natural POTS treatment video, except I struggled with exercise. I did it when I felt good, but I couldn't necessarily do it every single day because I was so anemic and so exhausted and fatigued. And I definitely think that because I didn't do that, some of my POTS symptoms were worse than they would have been, but I was still able to get through pregnancy. And now here I am, 4 weeks later, feeling much better. So I would, with all of those conditions, talk to your doctor, make sure you're treating them as well as you can naturally. If you are on any medications, make sure you know if those medications are safe for pregnancy, because some of them might not be. And yeah, really, I know that's not very good advice to ask your doctor, but that's my advice for you. Okay, next one is, how do you manage POTS? Oh, we just talked about that. How do you manage POTS during pregnancy? I do all the natural things, so video link down below. How do you cope with contractions before pain meds? Okay, so if you watch my labor and delivery video, I talked about how I labored naturally for, I think, about 5 hours before I got my epidural. Now, I was sort of induced. I was induced, but I'd already kind of started labor. My labor started like 30 minutes before I was officially induced. And so I only got a fourth of what they normally induce you with, since my labor had already started, and it just picked up really fast once they gave me Pitocin. So I was taking a fourth of the dose of a normal, like, induction, basically. And so I was officially induced at, I think, 12:30 p.m. And I labored naturally until about 5 or 5:30 a.m. And so from the time I started, I think I started my labor at like 11:30 or 12. So basically I labored for about 5 hours. And what I did is, one, I distracted myself I watched TV. I watched Netflix all night. I just watched Queer Eye, multiple episodes of that during the night, and I breathed. So every time I had a contraction, I would breathe through it and try to relax my body, because something that I noticed with my daughter's pregnancy, or my daughter's labor and delivery, was that I tensed up with every contraction. Now, I got the full dose of Pitocin with her. I was induced with her as well. I got the full dose of Pitocin, and my contractions were super strong from the very beginning. And so I would tense up every time I got a contraction. And I remember they checked me and I was only at a 3 centimeters dilated. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. I need the epidural. And I was so nervous that my epidural would have worn off or not worked by the time I actually was in the delivery stage. But it turns out that I just needed to relax. Once I got my epidural, my labor progressed way faster because I was relaxed. And so that was something that I focused on this time, because I did want to labor a little bit longer naturally, especially because my contractions weren't quite as strong as they were the first time. And so I really just breathed through it. That's my biggest advice for you. And just do your best to relax and not tense up. So what I did is I decided, okay, once I start tensing up, that's when I'm going to ask for my epidural. So I asked for my epidural around 4:30 a.m. because I started to notice little bits of tightening up. And by the time they got me the epidural, about an hour later, by the time the nurse goes and gets the anesthesiologist and he gets in and gets all set up and gets in, it was about an hour. they got so intense that I was like, okay, I need my epidural. So I'm really glad that right when they started to get a little more intense, I called them in, because by the time they got there, I really needed that. So that's my suggestion, is just breathe. Okay, next question. Sorry, you guys. I know I always talk way too much, but you guys know that's how I am. So here we are. What is pushing like when you're fatigued, and how hard do you have to push? So it's hard to say because I didn't give birth naturally. I had an epidural. And like I said, I tense up with pain. So I don't know how well I would do at pushing if I did not have an epidural, because I don't know, I just get really tense. I just tense up a lot. So it's different whether you're natural or not. Since I was not going naturally, I actually didn't feel my contractions this time. With my daughter, I had an epidural. It was strong enough that I didn't feel pain, but I felt the contractions and I felt the urge to push. This time I had no urge to push. I felt literally nothing from my mid belly to my mid thigh. I felt nothing anywhere down there. And so it was much different experience. When I felt the urge to push, I actually really liked that, because it just felt natural to push the baby out. Now with her, I pushed for an hour. With this baby, I pushed for maybe 10-15 minutes. And I didn't feel when I was needing to push. So the doctor would say, hey, you're having a contraction, let's push. And honestly, I would just squeeze my ab muscles, and you just push as if you're trying to poop. That's how you do it. So just think like you had to get a giant poop out, and that's how you get the baby out. It's true. And a lot of people, they do poop during labor, and my doctor told me I didn't, but then this time he says that to everyone. So I don't know if it happens, but that's really what you do. And when you don't feel anything, for me, I would just squeeze my ab muscles, and the doctor would say, no, you're doing it wrong. Try doing this. But once you've pushed a couple of times, you kind of know what to do. And yeah, that's I don't know. It's hard to explain. You just start pushing how you think you're supposed to push, and then the doctor says, try doing it this way, and then you change it a little bit, and he says, yep, that's perfect, keep going. And they are really encouraging, my nurse and doctor are really encouraging, like, yeah, Amy, you're doing so good, you're pushing so good, keep going. And the way it works is that when you have a contraction, you push for 10 seconds, and you breathe out when you push. So you push and you breathe out for 10 seconds, and then you take a breath and you breathe out for 10 seconds, and you do about 3 pushes per contraction. So yeah, I don't know, that's how you do it. The first time I had no idea what I was doing, and the doctor just kind of led me through it and told me what to do, and I had 2 babies, so I don't know. What is your secret? Oh no, I didn't write that very well. What did I say? Sorry, I could not read my handwriting. I said, someone said, what's your secret to stop tearing? So if you watch my labor delivery, you know that I did not tear at all. Hallelujah. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for that. With my first pregnancy, I had a 1st-degree tear, so there's a really small tear, but it was still kind of painful. And this time, no tearing. And my advice is, have a second baby. I don't know. I didn't do anything. I did some prenatal yoga with this one. But it was mostly just I'll link it down below, the one that I did, but it was supposed to help start labor, yoga basically. And, a lot of people in the comments said it worked. And that was actually the night that I went into the hospital. The first time was the first day that I did that yoga, I started having contractions in the middle of the night. But they started progressing and then they stopped. And then I didn't have the baby again for almost a week. So, I don't know if that was because of that prenatal yoga or not. But I did do it I think every single day after that until I had my baby. So I don't know if that helped or not, but I'll link it down below just in case, because I mean, it's just exercise. So I wouldn't even say it's yoga, I guess. It's not yoga. It's more of like an exercise routine. And it's super short. Like, it wasn't even that long, but I don't think any harm could come from trying it. But that's the only thing I did different this time than last time, besides it just being my second baby, and he came a lot faster. He was way bigger too. He was over a pound bigger than my daughter. My daughter was 7'2". My son was 8'3", 8 pounds, 3 ounces. He was 22 inches long. So he was a big baby, and I didn't tear at all. So I don't know, you guys, that's really the only difference is that little YouTube exercise routine I did the last week of pregnancy. Okay, where does your son's, a lot of people ask me where my son's name comes from, and someone said, how come it's a Slavic name? So let me tell you the story about my baby's name. So his name is Milomir, and we call him Milo for short. In fact, I usually call him Milo, just, I don't know, sounds like a little baby name. But once he's older, I think I'll probably call him Milomir more. I don't know. Anyway, so his name, this is really funny. So my daughter's name is Aurelia, and we call her Ari, and we love that like kind of double name where she has kind of her informal name that friends and family call her, and then a more formal name of Aurelia that if she wants to be more formal, or I call her Aurelia usually. My husband's name is Joshua. A lot of people call him Josh, and we kind of like that there's the two things, because I call him Joshua and it's more formal for formal things, and then other people just call him Josh. Anyway, we kind of like the formal and the nickname thing. And my name's Amy, and I don't really have a nickname, so I've always wanted one. So anyway, we like that. And so when we were pregnant, it was right before we found out we were having a boy, actually. We were talking about, we knew our girl's name, and we were talking about boys' names. And we're like, I don't know, what should we do? And I've always loved the name Milo. I just thought it was so cute. In fact, the way that I found Milo was Mama Dr. Jones here on YouTube. Her son's name is Milo, and I just thought it was adorable, and I just really liked the name. And I told my husband, he was like, I like it, but it's not formal enough for me. Like, it's a little too nicknamey. He just thought it should be a little more formal. And so we were like, let's just Google, let's see if there's a formal name for Milo. And we Googled it, and there were some we didn't like, and then we found Milomir, and we just liked it. That's literally the whole story, is we liked it. And yeah, I think it's like a Slavic name, but we just thought it was cool, unique, but not like totally weird and made up. And I just love Milo so much that, anyway, I just love it. So that's the story. I found a name I liked, we Googled it, and we came up with Milomir, and we love it. So that's where it came from. How do you get through labor with tachycardia? So I just made sure that they were monitoring my heart rate and my blood pressure the whole time. If you watch my labor and delivery story, my blood pressure did drop really low when I got my epidural, like scary low. I was shaking. I couldn't even talk. My mouth was shaking so much. I turned ice cold. It was really scary. But of course, they gave me some medication. The nurse was right there. They gave me some medication that balanced it out, and I was totally fine. So I would say just make sure you're being watched. Tell your nurses when you get there that you have POTS and that you deal with tachycardia. Another thing that I did is they gave me those boots that they use for surgery. So they basically keep your blood circulating when you're having surgery. And I had those on when I had the epidural, since I can't move my legs. So that's another thing that I did. And then really, I'd say the big thing is just make sure everyone knows. Everyone in the hospital, your doctor, your nurses, everybody knows, hey, I have POTS. Sometimes they might not know what it is. So my first baby, I had to kind of explain it to them. And then that nurse explained it to all the, that nurse explained it to all the other nurses. And yeah, it worked out really well. Okay. What's it like with 2 kids? The best ever. I love it so much. I thought it'd be overwhelming and hard, and it is just the happiest life. Like I honestly can't think of a time in my life that I was happier than I am now. I'm not getting sleep. I'm not sleeping through the night at all. My baby's a pretty good sleeper, but he doesn't sleep through the night. And I have all my chronic illnesses. I have 2 kids, one a toddler that climbs on everything. She's always getting into something, plus a newborn that I'm feeding all day long. And I'm so happy, you guys. It is just, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. He came, and it was just like this light came into my life, and I love it. Anyway, it's the best. I don't know how else to explain it, but I love it so much. Okay, how do you help your body heal fast after delivery? With my daughter, it took me about 8 weeks to heal. And I think it's because I did too much. I went on walks with her. I felt pretty good. I get so sick with my pregnancies that after I give birth, I kind of get this high and I get really excited to just go out and do things. And so I was going on walks and I was cleaning and I was just very active, and it took me a long time to heal. So this time I've been trying to rest more. I do think that I am healing a lot better this time around. Like, one, my labor delivery was easier. I didn't tear. I definitely had I just had an easier delivery because it was my second baby, I think. I don't know, but it just was better. And so I would say that helps. It's just that it was my second baby. But then also just making sure, even though if I feel good and I want to get out, resting more. I think like 4 days postpartum, I went to Target because I wanted to get out of the house, and it just totally took me down. So even if you want to get out, just at least wait 2 weeks before you get a little more active, and that helps a lot. Okay. What are you eating now? Are you doing AIP? So right now I'm eating, I would say mostly paleo. I'm not eating full AIP paleo. Of course, there's days where I do eat like an AIP paleo meal because I have a lot of AIP paleo recipes that I love, and so I'll use them, but I'm not being strict on it. And so I'm eating mostly paleo, but I will eat maybe like a little bit of cheese here and there, a little bit of like oats, I think I've had rice maybe twice, but overall I'm mostly eating paleo, and it makes me feel a lot better. But I'm definitely eating better than I did when I was pregnant. So, I mean, we got that going for me. But I will do a what I eat in a day video coming real soon, probably in the next month. Okay. What did you do for your low blood pressure? So during pregnancy, I made sure I was taking salt pills every day. I use the brand Salt Stick. I will link them down below. So that was the biggest thing that helped me is having the salt pills. And then I also had a blood pressure monitor with me so that I could test during the day. I kind of got to a point where I could tell if I just knew if my blood pressure getting low, and then I'd test and be like, yep, it's low. So I'd lay down and I'd take some salt pills, drink lots of water. And then during delivery, like I said, that they were monitoring me. So when I did get too low, dangerously low, then they had medication for me. And of course my doctor was monitoring my low blood pressure as well, but he wasn't too worried about it because he said you just have low blood pressure during pregnancy. If it gets under 60 over 90 for a consistent amount of time, then we will get you on some medication, but your body just your body just has lower blood pressure when you're pregnant. So he wasn't too worried about it, and it really, I don't know, I ended up fine. How long until you healed after birth? Like I said with my daughter, 8 weeks. This time I am currently 4 weeks when I'm filming this. My pregnancy updates or my postpartum updates are a little bit behind this video, but what was I going to say? Brain fog. You guys, I've had the worst memory. That's like been the hardest part of postpartum, is my memory is just gone. Oh, I feel like I've healed pretty close. Like I think by 6 weeks I'll be healed this time. Bleeding has gone down significantly. I'm hardly bleeding at all anymore. I'll go like a day or two without it, and then it'll come back for a little bit and go away. But it seems like I'm healing a lot faster than last time. And that's the last of my questions. So I hope that answered most of your questions. If you have any more, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to those in the comments. And have a beautiful, wonderful day. I'll see you in my next video.